This was the first scenario I put together, basically as a proof of concept. And looking back on it, seems kind of clunky to me now. I've made a lot of refinements since I finished playing around with this. This also had some extra things that I had to deal with specifically for the scenario. For example, if any allied unit moves during the movement phase, then the attack factors for that unit are halved during the combat phase. So I had to deal with that. Zones of control don't extend outside of the allied countries during the invasion turn. And both the Netherlands and Belgium surrender early if certain conditions are met. So it feels a little clunky to me. There's some missing features that have been added in the later scenarios. But it's still kind of entertaining. And in particular, because the Netherlands and Belgium surrender early under certain conditions, it made it kind of fun to see if I could meet those conditions as rapidly as possible with minimum forces. And sometimes I was doing that as part of the testing and debugging process. So let's take a look at that and see what happens. So we'll start the scenario. What's happening is that the Dutch non-divisional units and the Belgian non-divisional units were just randomly shuffled around. So I don't know where they are. But I'm going to go ahead and see what I can do with some German units. I think we have a division here. That'll run up there. Move this guy in here. There should be some tanks over here. Let's move that in there. Let's look around for some more combat motorized units. Let's take some of these guys and run them over. I don't know that we have any more around here. Well, we'll just consider that good enough. Because it's limited intelligence, we don't know for sure if we can conduct an overrun because we can't count factors to see if we got 10 to 1 odds. Now, not knowing if we achieved the 10 to 1 odds, I had to write some code to see how we're going to deal with an overrun when you don't know what the odds are. And the result of that is the system will allow you to attempt an overrun anytime you have sufficient movement factors remaining. You can give it a try, and if the overrun succeeds, then all goes as normal. If the overrun doesn't succeed, then you pay a small price, and your units can't move anymore in the turn. And I had to implement that penalty because otherwise it's really easy just to send your units around kind of doing reconnaissance and force and doing attempted overruns just to find out what's in the opposing hex. So we'll go ahead and pick these guys and try to overrun here. And it's going to say, okay, you can give it a shot. We'll try. Here it tells us what's happened. We won't look at that. We'll say the overrun failed. So these guys had to pay a small price. They lost a factor or two depending on how the die was rolled there. And they can't move anymore this turn. So they're stuck. Let's find... what do we have here? These guys will do. We'll run some of these guys up here. I don't want to use too many units. I want to try to use minimum force. Merge those in there. And then, just for the heck of it, we'll send some more people up here. I'll probably be relieved of my command for using too many troops in that. All right, well, that's good enough. We'll see what happens. One more important thing to do is we have some German airborne forces here. And let's see if they can jump into Rotterdam. And that'll be important for knocking the Dutch out of the war right away. All right, so they have the role to survive this. They've tried to land in an enemy major city hex in zones of control of Dutch units. So it's a dangerous thing to do. And one by one, we're going to see what happens. So the first one's destroyed. Another one destroyed. Oh, there's another one. Oh, we're not doing very well. Somebody got in safely. So a regiment and 2 battalions got in safely there. And so we're not going to mess with the other stuff right now. We're just going to see what happens up on this front. We will end the movement phase. Let's go to combat. We'll attack here. I think he's surrounded now. We'll do this. Now, I'm going to try to avoid using any of the Luftwaffe here. Let's see if we can just use our ground combat forces. Here's all the diagnostics as usual. We got a defender halved. Well, that unit, by having it, it was gone. So conduct advance. And again, when I look at this, I can see, oh, this is kind of clunky compared to how I've changed some things now. But, oops, get rid of that. Let's advance those guys into there. Let's see if we can break through on this front. This is a lot more important than that first attack I did. And we'll throw all these guys in and see what happens. Again, I'm going to avoid using the Luftwaffe. We'll resolve combat. Here are the details on everything that happened. Defender halved. So let's take this guy and retreat him back to here. And we want to advance with, what do we have here? 1, 2, 3. That's all combat motorized. We want to 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We'll just send in all of those guys, and we'll advance them into there. And this is probably not a very smart move, but I'm going to try this. Attack from here, cross a river into the woods, and I don't know what's there. We'll find out. Yeah, doesn't look too good. We'll attack. We've got a defender retreat, and in order to conduct the retreat, he's going to go up to here. They get absorbed by that core, and we'll go ahead and advance in here. Okay, that ends the combat phase of the special surprise turn. There's no exploitation here, so when we end this phase, the surprise turn ends, and we go now to the regular Axis game turn. Reinforcements, well, let's go ahead and bring them on, and we'll just pick a headquarters at random and drop them into that hex. Supply phase, I think these guys are out of supply, so we'll mark them as out of supply. Everybody else should be all right. We'll end that phase, and now we're in the movement phase of the Axis game turn 1. All right, well, that retreat up there kind of caused some trouble. But let's see if we can get through here. The first thing I'm going to try to do is see about an overrun here. The overrun failed. Well, I'll tell you what, the Germans are in trouble now. If they didn't make that overrun, these guys just took some minor losses, and they're frozen in place for the rest of the movement turn. So let's go ahead and stop that. See any other weak points in the line? I think the Germans are in trouble this time. Well, in the movement phase, let's just attack here. Notice I'm ignoring all this other stuff where I would actually be playing. I'm just trying to see what I can do in the Netherlands right now. So we'll calculate combat. Again, I'm not calling on the Luftwaffe. I'm dying to get some air support in here, but I'm not calling on them. Got a defender eliminated. Let's conduct the advance, and we'll leave him out. Send them in. No more attacks to make. We'll end the phase. It's exploitation. Well, this is our last chance here. We need to get adjacent to Amsterdam and Rotterdam in order to force the Dutch surrender. So our paratroopers landed in Rotterdam, so that's under control. And sometimes you can make it to Amsterdam and sometimes not. I don't think we're going to make it this time, but let's give it a try. We'll grab these guys and see if we can overrun this. Attempt the overrun, and it failed. The overrun failed. And there's nobody else, no other German forces that are going to be able to get to Amsterdam. So when I end this player turn, and it checks to see if German forces are in the appropriate position to force the surrender of the Netherlands, it's going to say, no, that didn't happen. Had it detected German forces in or adjacent to both Amsterdam and Rotterdam, then would have triggered Dutch surrender, and all those lovely orange units would have disappeared from the map. So anyway, that's just an entertaining little scenario within a scenario. One of the things that I was using as I was writing the code and testing and debugging.